Have you ever noticed that sometimes when life actually feels calm, it's uncomfortable? It's like the brain is saying, shouldn't I be stressed right now? That's exactly what I've been noticing lately. So, this weekend, I mentioned previously that I've been doing some decorating. My son's away. And because I've been working on how I approach things, I'd taken the pressure off. So I felt less pressured because there wasn't really any real urgency to do anything. I had this feeling like everything felt a bit off and like it wasn't really, I didn't really feel like myself. And I realized that was a response to my nervous system being without pressure because actually, the way the nervous system works is that it likes familiarity. So often it gets dysregulated or out of whack when you're doing something new or something is different. So when we um, shift into a calmer way of being and we take pressure off ourselves, and we do that with the mental load, so we take the mental load off, our body can respond with, oh, this doesn't feel safe because you're not doing what it's used to. You're doing something new. And so it actually feels, that level of calm and lack of pressure actually feels unsafe. And that can trigger our nervous system into fight or flight. And so what we think is going to help to relieve us actually triggers us. And that's a lot down to conditioning. So we're really conditioned to be in stress. We're conditioned that there always has to be something to fix or a rush to do. And so when that disappears, it just feels wrong. So it's like being used to, when you're used to like loud background noise. And then when that noise disappears and you're in silence, that silence can be really overwhelming at first because your brain is like, oh, that noise was taken away, and it kind of has to reprocess and recalibrate. So for me personally, at the moment, I'm working on catching myself when that happens. So obviously, the more awareness I'm bringing into my day-to-day life, the more I could like pick that up really quickly and say, right, I know why I'm feeling off. It's because I've taken the pressure off myself, and I don't really have to do something that I'm going to be doing, but I've decided to do it. And that's learning then how I keep moving when I'm not pressuring myself to keep moving. I'm just doing what I want to do. And then that kind of will then filter through as something, that enjoyment will filter through and get it going. I think the reason today I noticed it the most is, like I said, I'm decorating my bedroom. But before I could paint, I had to do some sanding, and I hate sanding. I like the finish, but I hate it, and I knew that it had to be done in order to be able to paint. And so I was like, well, I don't really have to do this. And so my brain wanted to not do a difficult task because it was difficult. And my nervous system was like, well, there's no pressure here. We've not put ourselves under pressure. So something feels a bit off. And then I was kind of my brain was using that slightly off as maybe I don't need to do it. Anyway, I got on and did it, and I feel fine now. And that can make a difference as well. So the other thing that I'm working on is kind of reframing that uncomfortableness is not what calm actually is. Because as I'm learning to live without that pressure, as I'm learning to take it off and just kind of like go with the flow and do the work that I want to work, and when I'm able to get loads done and I'm just doing it, if I'm doing it without the pressure because I'm enjoying it, then that's great. But if there's times when I feel like I need a rest, I've taken the pressure off myself, so I'll have a rest. And then I'm allowing myself to live in that new way of being. And I'm noticing it's quite a lot is coming up for me. And actually, one of the things I'm noticing is that the more that I do that kind of thing, the more that I am bringing up some of my own emotional wounds, because I'm allowing myself to kind of just be, and it's bringing up things and it's allowing me to process things that maybe have stayed stuck within me for a long time, that I have been blocking with pressure and doing and activity and getting this done, and blocking with anxiety. It was something actually I read very recently. It was actually a book about parenting, but it was talking about anxiety, and anxiety is a way of us actually not processing the things that we need to process. So we use it as like a defense mechanism to an extent now. And I was like, oh, that's actually quite an interesting way of looking at it. And so as I'm releasing the anxiety and releasing the pressure and I'm allowing myself to just be, I am noticing that I'm starting to release some of the old emotional blocks that I've had. And that's really shifting a lot for me. And it's also leading me into like, I don't want to do the activities so much that numb me out, like watching telly, unless I'm really tired and then it's just like fun and relaxing. But I'm leaning more into doing more breath work in the evening and more yoga and more connecting with me because I'm feeling the benefits of as I release more and more stuff, there's more and more release. And so I feel lighter and I feel more me and happier. And so I'm working on that, working on understanding me and how I work. And I know that I'm not going to always get it right. And that's the beauty of this journey. Um, Sometimes I'm going to kind of slip into old habits and I'm going to put that pressure on. But as I'm learning more and more, when I put that pressure on, I catch it. I'm like, oh, you're pressurizing yourself for no reason here. Or, oh, you feel a bit off because there's no pressure. And it's learning to get that balance and understand me and what I need in order to kind of function and do the positive things that I need to do in order to be fully present and be fully me and still allow myself to process through all the emotions that I'm processing through without having to stop doing that. And so it's kind of like, I feel like I'm on a journey at the moment that feels like it's moving very rapidly because I'm doing this work consistently. And I think this is the first time in my life where I've done spells of it, like little bits, but this is like really consistently. Well, actually, it's not the first time. When I qualified as a yoga teacher and I was doing yoga every day and I was really, really working on myself, I cleared a lot then. I cleared a lot around my dad, which I don't hold many old wounds around my dad anymore because I cleared so much of that in the past. And there was a lot to work through, but I don't feel I can look back at my dad and I can see him for the flawed human being that he was, but it doesn't really it doesn't really affect me emotionally anymore. So I've cleared a lot there. And that again was a consistent being on the habit of doing stuff, working on myself, practicing my yoga, doing my breath work. I went through a phase where I did yoga, I meditated, read spiritual texts, and I was even chanting a section of the Bhagavad Gita every day and going through that and doing that and I was spending like 3 or 4 hours a day. I did like a sabbatical on my own virtually. And I spent sort of like 3 or 4 hours a day working on me. And that shifted a lot. And I'm not doing as much as that now, but then in some ways I am because I'm keeping, rather than it being a practice, it's becoming part of my daily life and I'm weaving that in. So that's where it's different to how it was before. Now I'm taking it from a theoretical practice where I'm doing this very deep spiritual connection into like how I practice day in and day out and how do I weave that into my life. So, I mean, for you, take away from it, you can start to notice when you feel odd without stress. So notice when you're doing something that doesn't have any stress and it doesn't have any pressure, how do you feel? What happens in your body? So start to tune into that. All of this that I'm teaching you is just about tuning into you and your body and what you feel inside, because you might feel very different relieving stress than I do. You might get more anxiety trigger or you might get less, or you might just get a different feeling, but it's tuning into what happens for you. And if you notice any odd sensations coming up, you can ask yourself, am I truly unsafe right now? Or am I just not used to this situation? And so you can start to question yourself and question the reality of where you actually are. And that can allow things to shift in itself. And if it is just that it's because it's new and it's kind of something for you to get used to, you can just regulate through that. But, don't do it with any pressure. Just say to yourself, I'm just going to take a breath. I'm just going to allow myself to reset my system, maybe do a 5-minute reset, a bit of movement, a bit of breath, a bit of intention setting, and just really come into your body. So feel those sensations in the body and just be present with what's going on and accept that you are where you are and not to stress about it, not to add more pressure on and say, I want to pressure myself out of these strange feelings, because you're going to push yourself back into pressure. So you're going to feel like you've achieved something, but actually what you've done is just put the pressure back on. So let's release the pressure. If you feel uncomfortable when things are flowing and going smoothly and calm and comfortable, notice it, accept it, be aware of it, and just allow yourself to sit with that and see what comes up for you. So, if calm does feel uncomfortable, it doesn't mean that you're doing something wrong. It just means your nervous system is learning a new normal, and that's just part of life. We're going to learn those normals as we go through them. So hopefully you found this video useful. You've got something good out of it. And if you have, remember to like and subscribe or drop a comment. Let me know what you think. And if you would like to connect deeper, join my free group on school. It's called The Sacred Pause. I will drop the link in the description and I would love to see you on the inside.